Mr. Dempsey.
Yes, sir.
I have a bone to pick with you.
You do? What did I do? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend.
Well, you didn't. You actually set me up for the best days of my life, and it didn't happen. My name is Andrew McSteamy.
Uh-huh.
I was dating, meeting women at the height of Grey's Anatomy fame.
Oh.
Do you know how many times I was called McDreamy?
How many?
Not once.
Really? What about McSteamy, though? Did you get that one? That would have been perfect for you.
Only my male friends called me that. That's another story. What was I doing wrong? I mean, you don't know. You know me very well.
Well, you
got
gotta let the hair go and not have a hat on it.
Okay.
That's okay.
I wore a cap through the 90s. That was a big mistake.
There you go.
No, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
you have aligned yourself with TAG Heuer, and you are everywhere for them. You know, you're involved in heritage activations. You're involved here at Monaco, which is why it sounds like there's a large hornet's nest nearby.
I think what time is it right now? It's probably either GT2 or Porsche Cup, possibly, racing.
Okay. He knows a little bit about racing, also owns a racing
Team
Dempsey Racing.
in the WEC.
Yes.
So we'll do Le Mans in a couple weeks.
Yep.
We had a good race in Spa where we won.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can take that momentum into Le Mans, we have a good shot. But a really tough race. You can't make any mistakes. We've got some other marques and brands out there that are a little faster than us. We have to talk about the balance of performance is always a racer's thing. You know, it's like, oh, the balance of performance. But team's really strong. We'll see what we do.
Now, look, I can guess why you're so aligned with Heuer and TAG Heuer.
Okay.
Because it coalesces with this great passion of yours. Because when you look back through the history of motorsports, the brands are inextricable.
Oh, yes.
You tell me why, though. Like, why have you just gone so into the paint for TAG Heuer?
Well, Jack Heuer was really brilliant in the sense that he was a racer himself. He loved racing, rally racing. And he really wanted to connect and get the word out there. So his ambassadors, he would give watches to.
Yeah.
And if the driver could sell the watch, he'd get a cut. And that's how it started. And also then, all this is about racing, right?
Yep.
Time, lap time. And this is the way to capture that at that time. And
Yep.
it was revolutionary thinking of it.
And this one, because you know what? I wore two around this whole Monaco, hoping someone would, every time I've given them the choice, they've all gone Dark Lord. It's
Right.
a novelty. People just, new shiny thing. But this one was the first automatic self-winding chronograph in 1969. And I thought that would count
And
for
waterproof,
something.
too. They said it was waterproof.
They did. They said it was
And it was
waterproof.
revolutionary. The shape, they'd never seen anything like it. At
Yep.
first, people didn't really embrace it.
Yes.
So he had a lot of inventory. And along came an actor called Steve McQueen, doing a movie called Le Mans.
Yeah.
And he gives a bunch of watches to the prop master. And he said, can you get these in? And McQueen loved them.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
It is.
But it was a failure at the beginning.
Yep.
People didn't embrace it because it was so forward-thinking. And now we're looking at this iconic watch in this shape. Immediately when you see it, your eye goes right to it.
And we stood here last night and saw
Great presentation.
a revolutionary presentation of drone, I was going to say warfare.
Have
It
you ever
wasn't.
seen anything like that before?
I actually haven't.
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. You want to tell them what it was?
Well, you describe it.
So we were told after dinner to come up to the back, or the bow of the boat, yes?
Yeah. Stern or the bow?
Stern,
one of the
stern.
two.
It's a stern.
It's a
There we
stern.
go. As you can see, I do a lot of sailing, which I need to do.
He's a car guy.
Yeah,
You can
definitely.
forgive
I
him.
need to get, the water makes me a little nauseous at times, but that's why I try to keep looking at the horizon line, but I regress. So we came back, it was late, and we're all looking up, and you're looking in, and everybody's watching the finals in the Premier League, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly, on a
Or the
TV on
Champions
that
League
boat
last
there.
night. So
They had a
we're like,
screen
what's
on
the
there."
score? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, over the mountaintop comes these lights, and they're drones, and they make a formation in the shape of the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
And it spells out TAG Heuer. Brilliant,
And
brilliant,
then it
brilliant.
spells out Monaco.
Monaco, just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool, really innovative.
I couldn't get that image of like, what's the movie, Yellow Brick Road, where she's like, fly my pretties, and
Yeah.
all the monkeys go flying
That's
off.
true,
I
that's
just
great.
imagine some evil TAG Heuer queen over there, just like, ah.
Yeah, that's right.
It was incredible. But that is the perfect segue into what I wanted to talk to you today about. I just wanted you to tell me, as a motorsports guy, as a watch guy, and as a true enthusiast, like what you do for TAG Heuer, it goes way beyond an ambassador status to me. You just seem to be like a #1 fan, like a #1 ticket holder or something, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's for a lot of people, right? I mean, you come in as a fan #1,
Yeah.
and to be a part of it, to be a part of the legacy, for me it was so meaningful to have TAG Heuer on the car because of the racing history that we just
Yes.
talked about with Jack Heuer, having had spent time with Jack Heuer as well. getting a better understanding of how this evolved, how the Ottavia evolved, the Carrera, and the Monaco watch. You know, he created so many watches in a window of time that are now iconic.
Yeah.
So to be a part of that legacy means so much to me.
Yep.
You know, and we're all friends. You know, we're all collectors in the end.
Yeah.
You know, we share the passion.
And look,
So it's an honor for me.
That is very clear, and I'm feeling that. I was going to just say, this is Patrick Dempsey's 3 classic TAG Heuer models. That was going to be the headline for this video. You kind of already name dropped them, which is great. But
I'm sorry. You want to go back? You can edit that out.
Well, no, let's roll with this because it's an easy conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
I don't feel it's just so easy.
We had different questions from Patrick, and then I thought, you know what, we're just going to do this. This is much better. So you've mentioned them all, but the 3 classic TAG Heuer models for you are?
The Ottavia, I think you have to really look at that and how that evolved. It was an important first watch for Jack to design.
Yes.
And then the history behind the Carrera name, how that came about, that history. And then just how confident he was going into embracing the Monaco watch.
Yeah.
So to have those 3, I think, is everything you need in a collection. Mm-hmm. And the relationship with Jack Heuer, when I look at those vintage watches, it makes me feel very warm.
Yeah, indeed, and it is quite warm as well.
Yeah, it is.
You don't need too much help today.
Maybe it's the shirt that I'm wearing. I should have a shirt sleeve.
Now, my favourite story about the Ottavia is actually an Australian driver by the name of Jack Brabham.
Brilliant driver.
What do you remember about him? What do you know about him?
Jack Brabham is a remarkable man, really tenacious, really good. Team owner at one point, started building his own cars.
First person ever won a championship as a constructor with his name.
Yeah, like you have Dan Gurney, McLaren.
Yep.
That generation of drivers, such a deadly era in our sport.
Literally a fatal era.
I mean, once a weekend it seemed like. I mean, you look back at that period. The Limit is a great book. If you've ever read it, it just takes you through that period, and it's amazing what they were doing, especially around this track and those cars. There was no safety whatsoever. So God forbid you hit something, it's pretty much over.
Can I talk about this track? I did a hot lap yesterday, and it was just like there's no straights. It's just this kind of G-forces of driving into a corner like you're going to just go straight into the wall.
Yes.
What the hell?
Well,
can you describe what it's like going around this track?
Well, when you watch it on TV, you don't understand the elevation, right? The high and the low of this track is phenomenal, and how narrow it is. The brake zones are really tricky because if you're too aggressive, you're going to hit something, or you're too aggressive on power down, exit corner. If you have a little bit of oversteer, you're going to hit the wall, which we saw yesterday, and it's game over. It is. You have to visualize. When you think of Senna, you think of the guys today. You have to be so far ahead in this track. If you start getting behind, it's all over.
Yeah.
It is one of the most iconic tracks in the world and one of the most challenging.
I could not believe how short the track was too, and also like it's over in 2 minutes in a GT3, let alone a Formula One car. The part that freaked me out, if we're going right into the detail here, is the speed you maintain through the slight turns where you had to basically
the chicanes. You're really flat. I mean, they lift a little bit. We were in a GT car. We were in Porsches, and I had a GT3.
Yeah.
And the acceleration, and also the threshold braking, which means when you apply pressure to the brake, you can feel the ABS react.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do, and it's quite scary. Plus, and you coming down, you're going up, and then the chicanes, which you talked about.
Yeah.
You have to have really nice balance with the setup of the car.
Because if you lift,
because if you want to be aggressive over the curves, because you want to take that time out, if you're too aggressive, it will lift you into the wall.
Yeah.
Which we saw with the Aston yesterday.
Yeah, and that brings me back to Jack Brabham, because when you see drivers in that era wearing watches, it isn't for an ambassador partnership, it isn't for flexing for your Instagram buddies, it isn't for any of those modern day things, for watch wearers. This was for sheer functionality and for sheer toughness.
They were actually using it in the car.
While they were driving.
To be honest with you, I've done it before too, just to do it.
Yeah.
In like rally races or different stages, or even a lap at Le Mans, just for fun. It was the best experience.
Yeah, and the watch he wore, pre-partnership, I mean, maybe Jack was involved, but Jack Brabham wore an Ottavia.
Yeah.
An Australian driver wearing what would become Australia's #1 watch brand. It's certainly always been in the top 2 or 3 in Australia. It's a monster brand, which is unusual.
Right, I mean, it's just part of the DNA, like Porsche with racing. It was for sport. It was to go racing.
Yep. And the other side of Jack that I love, and the fact that, and this is not a geeky watch or motorsport story, is the history behind the Octavia and the reason for the name. And sometimes we watch people, we love to intellectualize things, we love to overanalyze. He chose the name simply because it sounded good to say.
It's good to say, and wasn't it a combination between the water and, I think it was flight and cars, I believe.
That's Octavia, but no, Carrera.
Oh, the Carrera was the it came out of the race in Mexico.
The Mexican race, yeah.
That's where it came from.
But the clincher was, I've got footage of him saying to me, Andrew, Carrera. And he was just saying it over and over again. He said, we had to do it, and it's just...
What do you want to talk about that race and how crazy that race is?
Sure.
The Carrera Panamera is a race in Mexico. It's a rally race, really deadly race as well. There's a vintage race that I hope to be able to go do with TAG Heuer, which would be fun to go back down those footsteps at some point.
Yeah. Patrick, it's been an absolute pleasure going back through the 3 classic models and solving my McDreamy.
It's good to see you over here and released from your wonderful country for a little bit.
Thank you.
You had a tough lockdown, and it's good to see you in person.
For the rest of this trip, could you just address me as McSteamy?
McSteamy, absolutely.
Done.
Thank you, McSteamy.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.